Hello, welcome to Shit They Don't Tell You. I'm Nikki Limo.
Hello, buddy. It's Iceman.
And we have a very special guest today. Guess who is in the house? You will have to guess because I'm not sure if I can reveal her identity.
Nope.
But she is a Big Mood host.
I'm incognito. You don't know who I am and you never will.
You never will know. She is here anonymously to offer some really expert advice. And because it's just such a vulnerable topic, the identity will not be revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody will know.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you will still have no idea because she is in disguise.
Half of my face is covered with Nikki's grandma glasses.
They're not grandma glasses.
They're actually Chanel or no Gucci. I was trying to feel the label from the side.
Oh, and
the Gucci, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. So today I decided, I thought, since it's May and it's actually Mental Health Awareness Month. I don't know if you know, but it is.
I thought it was going to be May.
It is May now, though.
Yeah, but that's what everyone's been saying
It's
about
like
May.
halfway over, though, so the joke's not.
So the joke doesn't land. You can say it all through April.
Got it.
But once it's May, it's already May.
There it is.
It's not going to be May. Well, anyway, we've gone most of May without discussing mental health. And it's a topic that I feel like it has become a little bit more destigmatized. The more people have talked about mental health, I feel like when it was first talked about, people didn't really know what that was. And now we're having more discussions about depression and anxiety and opening more conversations. And I think in a lot of ways it's really good because these were things that you might have had and didn't even know that was what it was called or, you know, what you were dealing with. And now you can. There's a lot of people talking about it. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's super cool because it used to be kind of stigmatized, and now it's like people are very much more open about all of it.
Yeah.
And like even like, you know, people in media and celebrities and all that stuff are coming out and talking about it, which makes more people feel okay, I guess.
Yeah, and so I think I like that for like May as Mental Health Awareness Month, that like people continue the conversation. And I feel like all of us three have dealt with mental health stuff in different ways. So I wanted to talk about what kind of things you feel helped you most with your mental health. First of all, like what have you struggled with? Like, is there anything in particular? And then like, what do you do to combat it? I know Jess, like for you just flew in, Anonymous, you just flew in today.
Anonymous.
And you kind of get anxiety on planes and like you take a Xanax and you have pharmaceuticals that you've found work for you. I don't know, like I haven't explored as much of that world, but do you want to talk about that? Like what?
Yeah,
what kind of stuff has
I've had
helped
all
you?
kinds of mental health issues, like from so many different areas. But if you want to talk about the easy one, sure, let's talk about the easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, airplanes. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird too because I used to fly all the time, and especially when I was in a long distance relationship previously, I would fly once a month. And never had an issue. And then all of a sudden after doing like transatlantic, like, or just over ocean flights, like going to Japan, France and stuff like that, those getting so shocky and something of me picturing myself dying in an ocean, like somehow like I just can't get on a plane without feeling like we're going to die now. And I don't know why, like, I don't know where that came from.
So it really just started like...
It started late in life, yeah.
Weird.
Well, and it got only worse after I left, like, the continental United States flying. So I don't know why, but... yeah, the only thing that I found... And I've flown short flights, 2-3 hour flights without taking anything. But the best way for me to take a flight and not have a terrible experience, which I feel like adds up over time and, like, perpetuates the anxiety, is to I actually take Ativan. I take a very small dose I get from my doctor, and I don't take it like regularly at all because it's very dangerous. Like benzodiazepines are extremely dangerous, and like if you have an addictive personality, I definitely don't recommend it for you. But for me, because I know how dangerous they are, I limit the use, but it 100% works. And yeah,
you just like what, like helps calm you down? Like
it's not like a high really. It's just more like sleepy, if anything. It's not like to me, I don't think it's a party drug because I would never take it to go to a party. Yeah. Like I would take it to go to sleep. Like it helps in insomnia sometimes too. But or if I ever have a panic attack, because I've had panic disorder previously, which I've kind of worked on over the past 20 years, and it's like not as bad anymore. But I used to get panic attacks pretty frequently, but that immediately will knock out a panic attack.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, That's
works
just
for
one
you.
thing. But
Yeah.
there's other people who will say don't go to pharmaceuticals because they're dangerous and they change your brain chemistry and you can get addicted to them and all this other stuff. And although I'm extremely well aware of that, I control it very well.
That's good.
So
What are
That's
the
like
other?
when people told me not to use Accutane because it makes you want to kill yourself. And I'm like, bro,
yeah.
the damage is done, dude. The kids who are going to Accutane, in my opinion, for me anyway, it was
Are
the
already
damage.
feeling-
You were already
yeah.
fucked up. Like this is what, like none of the creams
They're
work.
so
None of the,
You're
low,
already depressed
mentally
because of
so
the
low,
exactly.
Yeah.
They don't even want to be around light. So
Yeah.
like, just chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my experience with it. Because everyone, when they found out I did Accutane, they're like, "Oh my god, did you want to kill yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, before."
Yeah.
Accutane
Like I was
gave me
depressed because of this issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Accutane gave me hope after because it actually helped control the oil, which was always the problem. I would tell the doctor, look, my face just gets so oily. I'd take a shower and 45 minutes later, my face is completely oily.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, cool, here, take some erythromycin or whatever. And I'm like, dude, this never works.
It's not a bacteria.
You do have a lot of night sweats. I wonder if that's related.
I don't know.
Because it's not really oil. It's like perspiration, but
That
Yeah,
was
it's
different.
different, right?
So I took 3 tours of Accutane to close the pores more.
Right.
So I don't get that anymore.
yeah, I haven't seen you have an oily
You have great
face.
skin now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It worked.
Took a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. But you said you had like other issues.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of those that you feel like you?
So, I mean, I feel like different doctors have tried to say I'm one thing or another at one point or another, and they look to my family history and try to make assumptions and stuff. But I think there's definitely always been kind of like a low level depression that's always been around. And at times I have self-diagnosed and then had maybe 1 or 2 doctors suggest that perhaps I have like some sort of hypomania, which would be like the lowest version of bipolar. But I've never actually gotten or had any like major manic episodes, so no one's really saying that would be conclusive. Like they're not able to say that they really strongly believe that, but it could be like this, like probably the lowest level that someone could have, where they could have months where they're super happy and then months where they're just super sad. But it's not like where bipolar can actually affect your work life, your personal relationships, to where they like completely get ruined. You know, you can go to jail because your behaviors are so bad. Like,
yeah.
So I think that
That's so weird. That's exactly what my therapist said too. I forget what she called it. It was like a low level depression, she said, because I was like, I already know I've had depression. Like I already know that. But from what I was describing, like on a week to week basis, she was like, I think you have like a low level depression that's like kind of always there.
Yeah.
And you just like, it just gets acknowledged more in the silence.
right.
But I was like, oh, that's interesting. And she kind of mentioned something like that, and I said the same thing, where I was like, I don't get the manic episodes. Like I don't like have nights where I'm like, I need to do a bunch of shit and I'm not gonna sleep, and like I don't get that, because I've definitely dated people like that and never had that. I've always just been like more of a sleepy depressed.
Yeah, so you probably wouldn't have like, because bipolar means like there's 2 poles and then you swing between them, right?
Well, I get very elated. Like I've told her, like, I feel all emotions, the entire spectrum of emotions. I feel them constantly. Like it's always like a pendulum swinging, and like I feel extremely happy and grateful and like so like life is beautiful. I can't even believe this is my life. I love this life so much. And then I get like very like, what's the point? I don't mean anything. It doesn't matter. And like
Yeah, I think I get that
so much of, so it is poles, but not a like energy pull. Like
Yeah.
it's not like, because when I'm really happy,
just
I'm
kind of
still
feeling
like
a lot-
mellow in it, in
like
the
a
happiness.
spectrum of things happen kind of all at once, like a soup. You have like
Yeah.
an emotional soup versus swinging between
And I
2
cry at
poles.
all of them. Like I cry
Yeah.
when I'm so
Yeah.
happy, and I cry when
Yeah.
I'm so sad, and I
Yeah.
cry when I'm mad, and I cry when I'm frustrated. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so that, I mean, generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, a lot of these things are things that I've kind of grown out of them. So like I used to have, what's the hypochondria? Like
Yeah.
really bad, like to where I like really thought there was always something wrong with
I could
me.
see
Like I would
that.
be Googling it constantly. I've been to the doctor tons of times for tons of tests over the years.
Yeah, I
and
feel
then
like out of everyone I know,
I've
you've been to the
grown out
doctor the
of it.
most.
Yeah, people ask for like general medical advice, just kind of like up it in the air, and I'm like, I already know the answer to that. If you, in case you're curious, it's this, because I've Googled it 1,000 times. So yeah, there's just been a ton of stuff that I've dealt with over the years, and some of it kind of will be in a season. Like I'll have a season where the depression is really strong, or I'll have a season where just panic and anxiety will not leave me. And then I'll have a season where everything's just kind of fucking cool, like, and I'm just chilling and going about life. So basically, I've never medicated anything besides my panic disorder, which is what I take the Xanax for on flights, or if I have like a panic attack.
And have you like seen like a therapist on a regular basis, or just mostly as psychiatrist that can prescribe medication?
Well, I get I actually take Ativan. We say Xanax because it's a more popular term, but so I get that from my primary doctor. But a psychiatrist would typically be the one to do it. In some states, only psychiatrists are even allowed to prescribe them now because they're just so dangerous. But so I've been throughout my whole entire life in and out of therapy in different like stages and different like strengths. I don't know some of it's just like low level kind of life coaching, and some of it's like very serious like psychiatric like help or whatever. But I've never been in a facility or anything. But there was one time where I thought I fucking lost my mind.
Wow.
Years ago, because I was just so depressed and I like didn't know what was happening. And I've had probably a couple of episodes, maybe a handful, like 5, where I felt like I kind of had even a dissociative.
Yeah.
But that was just like the word that I think what happens is the anxiety gets so bad.
Yeah.
That my body just like tries
Separate.
to numb me from it.
Yeah.
But then that feels even weirder. Like that dissociative feeling feels so weird. I haven't had one since you were there, actually. Mm-hmm. I haven't had one since we actually went on our Mexico trip, our girls trip.
Yeah. We were just talking about that. Yeah. Like, because I was saying how you seem like a completely different person from that trip.
Like since that trip or on that trip?
Both.
Like since that day?
Yeah, I mean, like you've definitely changed, like done a 180 since that time period in your life.
Yeah.
So much has changed. I feel like you like really found yourself, and like you're like more in tune with what your wants and needs are and what you want out of life, and like more on the path to getting those things. And I've like, even like with your looks and appearance, you've played around with it until you found something that you're more confident with. And I just feel like you're a whole different person, like in the best way, than you were back then. But then also on that particular trip, you were definitely like going through something that wasn't just like, oh, this is who Jess is right now. It's like, that was like an episode.
Well, we did something that what triggered it was we did a sound bath.
Yeah.
We were in Tulum and we did a sound bath, and I don't know what happened, but like I meditated harder than I've ever meditated in my life. And I literally, my soul split in half, I think. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
And I didn't take anything.
You know, like, what I think happened?
It wasn't like an ayahuasca bullshit. It was like literally sober in the morning, sound bath.
Yeah.
Split my fucking psyche in half.
I think that you were repressing a lot of shit.
I think so too.
Because like that's what happens is if you ignore your emotions because of whatever reason, whether like you just want to be in more control of them, or
you don't want to believe whatever
you don't want to believe
is maybe really happening,
or like you've been socially conditioned to not express those things. There's a lot of that.
This is very normal.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Bury your feelings.
Like, don't cry. It's inappropriate right now, or whatever. Like those don't go away. They just get repressed, and then something like a vibration or a sound or something can just trigger it. Even like someone saying certain things, for some people it's like trigger words even, or like trigger smells or sounds or whatever it is, can unlock everything that you've been like storing, and it just comes flooding out. And that's kind of what happened to you on that trip. I remember like after the sound bath, you just like had just this flood of emotions and you couldn't even describe it. You weren't like, I'm mad or I'm sad or what. It was just like a flood of emotions.
Yeah. I don't even know how to describe it still.
Yeah.
It was super
But I think
weird.
it was healthy. It was like you were purging all this stuff like that needed to come out. It was like a cleansing.
Yeah.
That's actually what I was going to talk about too, because I was like, what has helped me most with mental health issues? First of all, I think going to a therapist and like understanding like your mental health, like not feeling crazy, because before I knew what anything was, I just felt crazy all the time. I told my parents that I felt, well, not my parents, my mom, that I thought I might have depression, and she didn't really know what that was. She was kind of just the stereotype of like of bipolar, and like she's like, well, you don't have manic episodes, and she was like the first one to be like, yeah, it's not, you don't have it. And I think that's why it's so important to like be able to have open conversations so people understand more of what it is. It's not just one blanket thing like all depressed people are like this, or like all because people can.
And she didn't know. She's just trying to help you.
Yeah, of course.
Well, her
It's not her fault at
generation
all.
too, the manic depressant, that was what everyone was. Like your mom or your auntie or someone, they would in the bed, they gave them lithium, they were manic depressant. Like so
if you're gonna see a professional,
if you
like
didn't have those exact things, then no, you don't have anything.
Exactly.
Because you're not this. This is what this is what her mom had. She was manic depressant on lithium in the bed and she never got out. And that's what their generation saw.
Like you're not at.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so for a while I was just like, okay, I'm just weird and like I'm not fitting in, and like I mean my entire childhood I felt like that. But then seeing a professional, the first good therapist and that's another thing is like finding the right one, because I feel like a lot of them, like I don't know, I just didn't feel like they understood what I was saying, and you really have to have someone that can listen and like really understands like what you're trying to say. And the first one I had was more of like opening up of what traumas live in the body from childhood, that like whatever coping mechanisms you came up with as even a baby, like things you don't remember any of the reasons why you came up with it, you just did that because you're a baby and you're trying to survive. And so the way she did that was like unpacking like what was your parents' situation, what was your life like when you were born, like, and well, my parents had to work full time and they dropped me off at a babysitter, and the babysitter was like old and she wasn't really used to taking care of kids, and there was probably periods of time where I was just left alone for a long time. And so I have like a constant feeling of loneliness, and I sometimes cry like just randomly, like I just feel really like alone, like, and not like I want to hang out and be around people, but I just like inside feel like no one.
Well, you're the reason why you feel happy or fulfilled or alone or not alone, right? It's not even really about the people around you, because you can feel alone in a room for like, so that makes sense. It's not that you need people to not feel alone, but
and so it's like you developed coping mechanisms as a baby to deal with that, like, because as a baby you don't know like, oh, my parents are gone because they have to provide for food for us, or they have to work, and like you don't have any logic like that. You're just like, my mom left, like I'm supposed to be nurtured right now. I need food. I need skin to skin. There was like very little skin to skin contact, like is what we...
all of that. I missed all of that.
Yeah. And so all of that contributes to how you felt and developed an emotional security blanket. And I didn't realize all that, but my therapist was like, yeah, you have a short emotional security blanket. So you can get overwhelmed quickly, and then like you only express it like how you developed when you were a baby. And for me, it's like spinning out, crying, like not knowing what to do. So I'm just like, I just like want to bury myself in a closet and cry. And it was a lot of like rewiring that, and then changing it to healthy coping mechanisms. And then as a child, like my dad wouldn't let me cry, which is like the only way I can let these emotions out is by like it comes teaming up here, and then I can't, then I cry. But my dad was like, you can only cry if you're physically hurt, and like would yell at me if I cried over like anything. And so it led to like trying to like repress all the crying, and then I just felt so stunted like anytime feelings would come up, because I wasn't allowed to express them, but it would really hurt to keep them inside. And so there's a lot of fucked upness there, and that was a lot of like undoing. But I feel like a professional really helped with that. You haven't seen a professional before, have you?
No.
And a lot of men don't.
Do you think it has something to do with gender, or like, you know, feeling like you need to be a man, or...
I'm sure, but for me, it's just one of those things where I would rather resources be used on you. I like you know what I mean. Like I feel like I'm good. Like whatever it is, I'll deal with it. Like I've gotten much better at it too. Like
because I don't agree with this.
I don't either.
Well, I know, but you asked me a question.
I know.
So that's really my answer, is that I think I just don't ever feel like I deserve it.
That's definitely something you should talk to a professional about.
Yeah.
I mean, I see that in my dad. I see that in every man, my brother. I see that in every man. They're like, why? I don't need to. They're like, that'd be a ridiculous, notion that I would need to go talk to someone. And I'm like,
probably need it the most.
There's so many things that we can all see, like in my brother and my dad, I'm like, there's so many things that I feel like you could have worked through, but you're like gonna keep it in.
Even like the things you guys are talking about right
Yeah.
now, like I've been pretty quiet because I don't relate to what you're saying. So I'm just listening in.
But sometimes you don't know that you don't relate because you don't.
You bury
You
it.
bury, like
Sure.
you buried some, like you're stressed so much that it only comes out in overworking, or it only comes out in, just excessively overdoting on your wife or something else. Like you could be repressing something and you don't know because you won't even allow yourself to see it. So I only know these things because I've been in therapy for so long, where they're like, this behavior, like this came from this, but I wouldn't have had, the reason why I can talk about it now is because someone pointed out what I was doing.
Yeah. And they've studied patterns of many people who
Yeah.
have similar symptoms, and like that's what happened with them, and like a lot of backgrounds match and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't need it or that I'm better than it. It just always has been something where I'm like, oh, well, I would rather Nikki gets the help she needs, because you've definitely, like, you've been diagnosed and all kinds of stuff that you needed to have happen that gave you clarity.
Yeah.
Which is good, which I'm glad for. And we always push therapy on the show too. I believe in it. I just don't know that there's something in my core that I'm like, man, I really got to deal with this. I think maybe years ago I probably could have used it, but I think I came out of the other end of that, thank God. And so like right now, I don't feel like I'm where I was then. So I feel like I'm better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't deny that you've like absolutely made progress, and that's why I kind of wanted to like hear some of your process of how you've helped your own mental health. And I also do think that everybody could at least see a therapist for a few sessions to like
I believe
unlock
that too.
some things,
Yeah.
and it would help healing, because the other part of it is the physical aspect, which I didn't realize until I had SIBO and had to go see a gut health specialist. And the number one thing she said, she didn't ask me about my diet. She didn't ask me about my exercise. The first thing she asked me about is what my work life was like. She asked me what my work life was like and what my schedule was like, because she said that the number one thing that causes a lot of diseases and stops digestion and just does a lot of fucked up shit to you is stress, and the way that you manage stress. And there's so many different kinds of stress. There's work related stress. There's environmental stress. There's like lack of sleep stress. There's like so many different, there's physical stress. So she was like, we need to take like a bunch of different stress points off of your plate in order for your gut health to even see any slight improvement. And so for you, I only worry that there might be stuff you're holding on to or repressing, or something that you don't even know about that is going to cause like a physical health issue.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really, boy, I'm trying to think of the last time I really felt stressed out. I mean, I don't really sit there and stress about things either. So I just, like even what just happened with me in crypto, like I'm good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those things where it's like, damn, that was a fucking crazy experience. Like to have your favorite shitcoin go to fucking zero is crazy.
Yeah.
But because I de-risked like months ago, I think I'd be in a much worse spot, frankly. Like if I didn't de-risk months ago, like in February.
Yeah.
And I told all my people, I'm like, yo, I'm going to de-risk because like all this shit with the war and Putin, I'm like, I'm just going to take some off the table just for my own sanity. And that helped me sleep even. And then, so now we just had this hugely horrible situation with Terra, Luna. And then I was like, wow, that was like a wipeout moment, but I'm not out of the game. So for me, like I'm a survivor in like the purest sense. Like as long as you keep me in the game, I know I'll get back to where I was. Like I do it every time. So and I'm not really being overconfident either. I've just done it every time. So it's not something that I'm like, I have my process. It works. Like, and you got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to stay open to new information as well. But I just know that I'll be fine because I've done it so many times now that it's like, okay, the game took a left turn on me, but because I de-risked, I'm not sitting here like all emotionally scrambling. I'm very much like, okay, like on to the next mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome for like logically, and that you're able to talk about it to yourself and like break it down and rationalize and like be like, yeah, this is why we don't feel bad, and then we don't feel bad. Was there ever a point where like you did feel like really overwhelmed by emotions and like had to develop a process for dealing with them, so that like when things like this come up that you are able to like filter it and get more grounded? Or like,
what do you think the difference is between you and then the guy that like loses his fucking shit? Because you know how many people like that day lost their fucking shit.
Yeah.
So like, what can you give to those
I think that some
men?
people just think that they got lucky and they'll never be able to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that
so
sucks.
it's just logic for you. You think that they're not thinking logically, and that's
Yeah.
why they're emotional. Because there was like
but how can I
suicide
blame them?
hotlines and all this shit
Yeah.
going up, and I was
Well-
like, well, why are you so calm when
Well, I
everyone
have
else
rules.
is losing their
I have
shit?
rules. Never invest more than you're willing to lose.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like a meme, but it's real.
Yeah.
Like I never put that much in. So all of it was basically just fucking hangout profits. Like it went up like crazy. Made the right moves. Didn't get the right exit, but because I exited months ago, it doesn't feel the same, right? As I can't imagine for some
So
people.
you just didn't really get dropped that hard on to have an emotional response.
I've been dropped on hard before, right? So
like in other times in life, right? When you've
sure.
had an emotional thing,
I
like
was
how
bullied
did you?
all throughout, like middle
Yeah.
school and all that stuff that everyone deals with too. But it's really just I view challenges as just something where it's like for example, when I was getting bullied, I could just hate those bullies back. You know what I mean? Like I could just hate them back, or I could even hurt them or whatever. But it wasn't productive to do that. Like it did nothing for me to do that. So like in a situation like this, I'm like, okay, well, how can I be productive? Can I be mad at a computer screen? Well, no, that's not going to make me productive, right? Like, can I sit here and go, oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda? Well, that's not going to make me productive. Can I take a lesson out of it? That's great. Yeah, I'll do that, right? Okay, so what did I learn, right? Paying myself more on the way up, no problem. Like that's an easy one to remember, and it's even better to have gone through something like this so that you're like, you really instinctually understand that lesson.
So
next
it's probably
time.
just age and experience to where you don't react to things the same way because you've seen it before.
Yes.
You know different outcomes now.
I'm a war veteran in this game, dude.
Probably for a lot of people with age, things do get easier just based on
I think experience.
yeah.
Experience. But, I'm not sitting here saying that like I didn't wake up the next day and go, should have done that. I did all that.
Like you beat yourself up a little bit.
I beat myself up, but in a
Yeah.
productive way to help cement the
Or
lesson.
you didn't let it go on too long.
No, fuck
Yeah.
no. I was very much done beating myself up within. I mean, I was even talking to my people like the night that Tara died. So like you have to, if you, and I wouldn't be able to do any of this if I hadn't gone through it before. Like I, was in Ethereum early. I bought my first Bitcoin 2013. That shit went down. Then like within 5 days, it went down from like $1,200 each to like a 120, like within days. And then, I was buying Ethereum early, like between $6 and $8. That went all the way to $1,200. I got out at like $350 into another coin that 4x'd and then went down 90%. So like, and that was probably the worst. That was the worst lesson that I had to learn, which was just like, you pivoted, made the right moves, right? But you didn't get out in time. And for this run, I was about to get out. That's probably the most frustrating part. Like anybody who knows me or anybody who's in my crypto group, like I was talking about how this is the fourth quarter of the game, and like this is the time when it's time you got to look at the clock and you got to be ready to make the moves to get out. I did get ready for that in February, but I could have done so much better. A lot more. But because of what I went through the last time February happened, thank God, right? Because I'm still in the game. So as long as I'm still in the game and I still have my shoes on and I still got my jersey on, I know I can win. And I think that's for some people, and it sucks, man. I think that they should, they should get help. Like it's just numbers on a screen until you cash it out. Like I wish to God everyone could understand that because of what happened. Like that's just so sad. And but like I said, when I hear about like the idea that I should be on the phone with a therapist cutting someone in the line who really needs it is how I feel, I guess, even though I know that's not how it actually is. Mm-hmm. But that's just how I feel. It's just a weird thing.
I feel like I just still feel like it's just kind of like a manly thing, like because they're just so trained to feel like they just got it figured out enough. I'm good enough. I don't need anything. And every man I know says the same shit.
It's like
good enough.
Almost an attack on their intelligence. Like, well, I'm smart enough to figure it out. I know myself. And I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
like, I've felt that way before. Like where I went to a couple therapists first, then I was like, they don't get me. Like, basically, they're saying things that my
There's
mom could tell me.
There's a lot of dumb ones.
Yeah,
you could be wasting time and money to find a
I'm not even saying that.
And you
It's
get
just,
no, I'm just saying that, like, for me, like, I think there was like well, maybe, you know, I'm too self-analytical already, and like I
no
don't
one's gonna
really
be able
need
to
it.
help
Yeah, they're not
you.
going to be
Yeah.
able to help more than I can already help myself by looking at journals or like stuff
Just
that I've
logic
written.
thinking.
And, figuring
Yeah.
my own self
Yeah.
out. But yeah, what were you?
well, it's also perspective for me too. Like my mom just got diagnosed with cancer a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And
Sorry
she,
about that.
it's okay, but she's coming out the other end. And for me, I'll take that 10 times over compared to like stupid numbers on a screen, right? Like that stuff's not who I am, right? Like if it was, I could understand like the devastation, but the numbers on the screen wasn't who I am. It's very much, I'm very thankful for a lot of the things that I have in my life. So I mean, very thankful. Like, so, that perspective really helps key in on my emotions during shit like that, where it's like, man, I have so much to be thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay. On that note, we are going to go on a break, but when we come back, I would love to continue diving more into this and unpacking some more stuff about your mental health and different aspects.
We'll be right back.
All right, Steve, take it away.
I want to give a huge shout out today to our sponsor, Best Fiends. We love Best Fiends. I am not going to brag,
Please don't brag.
but I am about to hit level 50 on Best Fiends.
Oh my gosh.
And look, this has been a journey for me.
yeah,
I'm not the biggest puzzle guy ever,
that's very true.
and I have been very thoroughly
Escape
enjoying
rooms
Best
are
Fiends.
a nightmare for us.
Yeah,
but he sure loves his little best fiends.
I love my Best Fiends. Also, I got all my guys leveled up. We're like level 7 each, I think. Look, I enjoy Best Fiends. It's great. You don't have to have internet to use it. Mm-hmm. It helps if you do, because you get like your free daily gifts and all kinds of cool stuff like that.
Right.
But, you don't need it. So like sometimes you're on the plane and you're like, man, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I don't want to watch cable TV.
Yeah.
Best Fiends every time. That's
Or
what
you're
I do.
stuck in a place where they're like, you have to be a guest to have our Wi-Fi.
Boom.
And I'm like, I'm poor.
See?
You just play Best Fiends.
Yeah. Or maybe your wife's watching some reality TV show that you're really not that interested in. Boom. Best Fiends.
Yeah, right. You're interested in all my reality TV shows. I think you could play it while you're half watching reality TV.
I wasn't talking about me.
Oh,
I was giving a scenario.
I was talking directly about me.
No, seriously, Best Fiends is awesome.
With Best Fiends, also, we have 2 affirmations. Number 1, enough is never enough. Obviously, you never feel like you have enough. Well, guess what? This will satisfy that craving of getting more and more and more and more.
Listen, sometimes I just don't have enough keys. I want to open all the boxes. You can't open all the boxes. It's a good life lesson.
More is better. More is fun. Affirmation number 2 is happiness does not always come from within. Okay, everyone makes a big deal like, well, happiness comes within. Well, you know what? Sometimes external accomplishments, like taking part in a little playful competition, can make you smile just as much as
Sometimes
your little dinky inner joy.
Sometimes happiness comes from getting the right box with your key, and then you get the jackpot.
Happiness comes from winning.
I could not agree more. I really could not agree more, especially investments. There's always new levels, always new stuff, always updates. There's over 100 million downloads of this game for a reason. Everyone that I know who plays Best Fiends loves it.
And we are obsessed.
Absolutely obsessed. You can download Best Fiends for free from the App Store or Google Play. Plus, you can earn more than $5 worth of in-game rewards when you reach level 5. That does help, by the way. The in-game rewards do help. So that's friends without the R, Best Fiends. I want to give a big shout out today to our sponsor,
Talkspace.
So we always are advocates for therapy on Shit They Don't Tell You. If you've ever listened to our show for even more
We
than
say
5 minutes.
we are not professionals.
Yes.
Please talk to a mental health professional.
So here's somewhere that you can go where you can get a mental health professional to your phone or on your screen, or even if you wanted to go see them in person, all that's available to you through Talkspace.
Yeah, no matter where you are in your mental health journey, talking to a therapist always makes a huge difference. But the problem is people are like, 1, it's really expensive, and 2, how do you like sift through all the therapists to find one that fits for you? And Talkspace makes that so easy. You can fit it into your schedule, into their schedule. You can message your therapist whenever you want. There's licensed therapists that you're talking to. These are not just people off the street. These are like actual professionals, and you can schedule your weekly phone call or video call. You don't even have to leave your house. And if you have anything that happens during the week, like before your appointment, I really like that you can just text them anytime and they'll get back to you before your appointment happens. Also, if you find that you don't like one of the therapists, it's really easy to switch and just try someone new instead of going through the whole process of finding another professional all over again.
Which is awkward.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can talk to a licensed therapist 24/7 without needing an appointment. That's huge.
Also, it's private, it's secure, it's accessible. It's what I think is great about therapy, but you don't have to have all the things getting in your way.
Yeah. And since May is Mental Health Awareness Month, it's just a perfect time to find one thing you can do to prioritize your mental well-being and write yourself a permission slip, basically, to get out there and do it. So consider this your permission slip to put your mental health first. Match with your dedicated therapist today at Talkspace.com and use promo code STDTY during sign-up to get $100 off your first month.
That's $100 off at Talkspace.com, promo code STDTY. Want to give a special shout out today to our sponsor, Green Chef.
Green Chef is a CCOF. Do you know what that is? It's a CCOF certified meal kit company.
Green Chef makes eating well easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, you got the paleo, you got the vegan, you got vegetarian, gluten-free, or if you just want to eat more balanced meals, Green Chef has something for you. They have fresh produce, premium proteins, organic ingredients you can trust. It's the #1 meal kit for eating well.
I do really like that they have all these options because, like, for example, Steve eats meat. I don't eat meat. We could both be happy with these recipes. They have vegan options and paleo and all that stuff that Steve just said. And I do like that a lot.
And they have really good stuff.
And it's easy.
I had the Middle Eastern beef bowl, and I was like, dang, I could eat this every day.
It's like a 5-star chef cooked it for you, but you did it with your own hands. But it was prepared for you, but it makes you feel good about yourself and also good about what you're eating.
And I wouldn't think, like, so in the Middle Eastern style beef bowl, it has cauliflower rice, feta, almonds, and like this spiced yogurt. And if you ever sat me down, you're like, hey, put those together, it's going to be delicious, I would never know.
That's so funny.
That's the kind of stuff, though, that like people like me need something like this.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know how to put something like that together.
If you all saw what he makes on a daily basis, it's literally a frozen chicken breast put directly on the pan until it is heated through and then like covered in Tabasco.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, and just Tabasco. Like a soup of Tabasco drowning this chicken breast.
Not anymore.
And the kitchen usually smells burnt, but when he does the Green Chef meals, holy moly, I didn't even know that Steve could do that. I didn't know he was capable.
Also, they offer 24 always changing recipes to choose from every week, so it's never going to be like the same boring thing.
So go to greenchef.com/STDTY130 and use code STDTY130 to get $130 off.
Yo.
Plus free shipping. Holy moly.
So go to
greenchef.com/STDTY130
and use that code
STDTY130
to get $130 off plus free shipping.
Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. Hello, we are back. I hope you buy whatever we told you to buy. We are going to continue this conversation about mental health. I would like to come back and hear more on maybe like, because there was a period of time where you were very depressed. It was like 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And we actually talked about it on our Patreon. By the way, if you want to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/sticky, STIKKI. We do bonus episodes called Should They Don't Tell You After Dark. And we kind of talk about what we're going through currently at the moment. Stuff that we haven't figured out yet or processed. Stuff that we're still currently trying to process. And it's like kind of in real time. And Steve has cried quite a few times on that show.
It's a great show.
Because he was going through depression, didn't realize it until like mid-recording.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to talk more about that.
That was July of 2019.
I remember that. I actually remember that to myself.
2019.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually watched that episode, I think.
Yeah, that was like a big deal because like you don't cry very often.
No.
And
maybe those are your little therapy sessions.
Exactly.
Little
therapy sessions.
I'm your therapist.
Yeah, but it is good to have a place to talk. I mean, that's been great about this show and other places I'm at, like JK and stuff. It's great to be able to talk about how you feel about things.
An outlet.
Oh, I think that I believe in that 1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, if you have friends where you feel like you can talk honestly and openly about things as they're happening, maybe you have less of a need to have a therapist as compared to other people who may not have
I'm not even saying I don't need one. But like, the immediate thing,
but
I think I could have used years ago. You have
support system, you know, in your life, where some people don't. So.
I should have years ago, frankly. I should have. I was in that thing for way too long.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that really helped me out, and I don't know if this is true for you, Jess, but I mean, anonymous, is getting anonymous getting a diagnosis, like, made me feel less crazy. Even if they're like, your diagnosis is you're crazy, I'm like, oh my god, I feel so much less crazy now that I know what's going on. That wasn't my diagnosis, but
you're crazy.
You're actually crazy.
I'm like, who's your therapist? I'm gonna report them.
No, but last year, in April, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I think like me before then, maybe a lot of people out there just hear ADHD and they have like a really like general version of in their head of what that is or what that's like, or maybe they even think it's overused or cliche, because I feel like everybody has ADHD.
It does feel cliche for some reason.
In the 90s it was. Like, every kid that I knew was ADHD. It's like
coming back because like a lot of TikToks and like stuff like make you feel like you have everything under the sun. But for me, it was that in combination with being on the spectrum. Like, I'm very like loosely on the low end of the spectrum. Like, I think it would be classified as light Asperger's back in the day. They don't call it that anymore because it was like, that's like that guy's a Nazi. But
I didn't know that. So
they changed
we don't
it
use
to
the
just
term anymore.
Yeah, that's why they changed it.
Autistic still
it's,
okay?
Yeah, it's all under the autism umbrella of like
spectrum.
autism level 1 or whatever. But I had no idea, and I would never even have agreed to even try to get diagnosed for that if Steve hadn't pointed it out. And then I was also on JK saying certain things while Steve had previously, I thought, joked about me being on the spectrum. But then a lot of the things I was saying, people in the comments were like, that actually is autism related.
Sign,
and I was like, no way. And then they started gathering, like they started adding up. So I started really deeply looking into it, and then looking at like, what are the most accurate free online tests that you can kind of see if maybe
you should even ask someone.
Yeah, exactly. And I was always like right on the fence, like a little bit into the spectrum, but like on the fence. And I'm like, is it or isn't it? Or is it just like a faulty test? I took it many times. And then I was like, I think I probably am. And when I started reading personal stories of other people who were like me, who did get a diagnosis, I was like, holy shit. Like, that filled in so many gaps of childhood, of feeling like an alien trying to figure out the world, and like feeling like I could just never like fit in or understand or get it right. And like everyone else felt like they just knew innately what to do socially, and I just didn't. And I was very socially behind, but they almost skipped me a grade because I was so ahead academically, but so behind socially. So that was the only reason they didn't skip me, was they were like, you're already young for your grade, and then like you're really behind socially. Like, I just wanted to like do little kid things still when everyone else had moved on to like boyfriends and nails and like cool things. And
I knew you were on the spectrum when we were in the club and you started crying because you were overwhelmed by like the amount of I was like, oh, she really is autistic.
And I didn't know that was
you were like,
part of
oh,
it.
It's too much. It's too much.
And it makes me feel like crazy.
Oh my god.
It honestly made me feel insane, because I felt like this isn't socially acceptable. I've learned that. Like, a lot of autistics, like, we learn from a young age, like, we're studying people to try to fit in with people.
Yeah, but
and it's like, so this is not acceptable. I shouldn't do this, but you like can't help it at some point.
You are too overwhelmed by the stimulus, and I was like, wow.
It's called sensory overload, I learned.
And I saw it happen in real time, and I was like, I honestly have never seen that happen in real time. Like, for someone to get immediately
and
overwhelmed.
I had never seen it either with other people, which made me feel like, oh my god, I'm like so crazy. Like, no one else reacts this way.
Yeah.
And how can, in my head, it's like, how is no one else reacting this way? It is so overwhelming.
You feel it so strongly.
Yeah, that I'm like, it's crazy to me that no one else feels that way. Everyone's like having a good time. I'm like, I'm so jealous, because I'm like, it looks so fun. It's just like people that smoke pot. I'm like, it looks so fun for them. They're just like chilled out. I think I'm gonna die every time. But
that was what was so whack about all your guys' little girl times, is I'm like, god damn it. Well, that's fine. You guys want to do this thing where it's like only girls, but I'm gonna have to go pick this bitch up.
Yeah.
So I was like,
it became too much.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so I have to sit here at home and try to keep myself awake because I know
wait
that she's
until-
going to need
yeah.
me. I knew she would too.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, but actually getting diagnosed with ADHD, like, okay, so I looked into the diagnosis, and for females, adult females, it is the hardest thing to get diagnosed for autism, because females already in general, whether you're neurotypical or neurodiverse, they already are conditioned to mask and like try to blend into society and try to like, you know, put on a certain face. So it's very hard for someone to diagnose. You have to do a lot of like live sessions. They do a lot of live testing that's like 12 hours long.
All they had to do was come to my birthday party.
I know.
All they had to do was show up to my birthday
No
party.
And
shit.
for females, it's $5,000, and it wasn't covered by my insurance, and I just didn't need it. Like, I don't need special aid or anything like that. So a lot of the things that you can get with a diagnosis like that, like a lot of people on
Someone
the spectrum
stronger
do need.
on the spectrum.
I didn't have anything where like I felt like, oh, it interrupts my ability to operate in my life. So I just didn't feel the need to go through with the official diagnosis. I had read enough through forums that it like made me understand. And then when I got diagnosed for ADHD, there's a lot of crossover. So a lot of times like they'll go hand in hand. Like if you have one, you might have the other. And even just getting that diagnosis and fully understanding it, I cried for like months of happiness, of just like feeling seen, like, and understood and like validated that like there's other people in the world like me. And I really feel like that was a turning point in my depression, where up until that point, I just would go through these periods of self-hatred, of just feeling like I will never belong anywhere. And that's maybe where the loneliness comes from too, is like I just felt like no one is like me and no one understands me, and I'll just never belong anywhere. And then reading all those stories and like really understanding like that my brain just operates differently, especially in social situations, and that it's not a bad thing because it operates differently in other ways, in like a really productive way. Like I'm more creative. Like a lot of people on the spectrum
It's your little superpower.
yeah,
For real.
it's the artsy
Your little
superpower
superpower.
that like a lot of
She's cheating at poker with this.
yeah, I'm cheating at poker for sure.
Yeah,
by
they shouldn't
being
let
too
autistic
autistic.
people do poker.
It's like letting the X-Man do poker.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's like
They need to have
autism or
autistic table
hyperfocus.
and then regular table, and then you don't get to mix.
100%.
It's true, because like the ADHD is like the hyperfocus, like you're hyperfocused on
yeah.
the game, and then the autism's like doing all the pot odds and
Yeah,
calculations,
yeah.
and like it is a good game for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It
do
suits
agree.
you.
It does help.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
But I heard a weird thing too, that if you ask a neurotypical if they
what did you
value
call me, dude?
a neurotypical,
Wow.
if
We are offended.
Yeah.
do you value what do you value more, creativity or productivity?
Oh, that's tough though. I love them. For me, they're both in my life.
Yeah.
Like very much so.
What do I value more, productivity or creativity? In myself or just in the world? I think
in yourself.
in myself. I think I do. I don't know, because I feel pretty good about myself the times that I've been able to do something that felt creative, because I just never thought that I could.
Yeah.
But I think I do focus more on productivity, probably. Like that's just generally what guides my life. So maybe in a roundabout way, I value that more. I don't know.
What would you say?
Ooh, that's a toughie for me. I would probably say, yeah, I like knowing that I just did a bunch of shit. So yeah, probably productivity.
Yeah. So I said creativity immediately, and that is, you guys said that answer, productivity, is usually what a neurotypical would say, and then a neurodiverse person would say creativity, and couldn't see it any other way.
Yeah.
And I do value productivity too. Like obviously I like getting my shit done, but I think it's more of a way that I feel guilty if I didn't, and like I feel more like I'm gonna get in trouble.
That's true.
And less.
I mean, I feel that
like,
too a little bit.
and I also think that, like what you said, like I value both in the world. I do think that every person was meant to be a creator. I think that like that's like the seed of life, is like everybody is given this gift that you can create. Number one, you can create your reality in your life.
Yeah.
And number two, like when you create stuff and put it into the world, that is productive. It is like you're giving life to things in the world, whereas like a destructive force is like taking away things from the world. You know what I mean? And so I do think that like everybody was meant to create things, but I don't know if it's a socially conditioned thing or if it's just something innately in neurotypical people or what makes it different. But I think they're both needed in the world. And so I guess just understanding that my brain just works differently or sees things differently is better than feeling like I'm a fucking crazy person that is wrong about my perspective.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Because for years you got chastised for the way your brain works.
And I felt just wrong. And or even like I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Because I have to fill in every gap in a story. Like if someone's telling me a story and then there's like a little piece missing, I hone in on that little piece and I can't they can't finish their story because I need this piece to be filled.
By the way, if you're trying to
it's really annoying for people
and you don't remember everything, this is her most annoying quality.
Or if I was there during the conversation and you're quoting it wrong.
Oh God, yeah.
Like
you have to fill it in. Yeah, you have to fill it in.
Even if it doesn't matter. I can't see, like I can't zoom out and be like, this part doesn't matter. It's like, wait, why is this inaccurate? And I correct it and it has rubbed people the wrong way. One, they either think they're being interrogated by me asking a lot of questions.
Or chastised for being wrong.
Or exactly. Like I'm trying to overcorrect people or chastise them, or like I'm a know-it-all and like it's this. But in my head, I'm like, oh, if I say something inaccurate, I want someone to correct me. And so I'm thinking that I'm like helping. And that's just I found out that's like a trait of like on the spectrum, like things being accurate and needing like a completed picture, which is also what makes us like really good detectives. Cause like I know when things are missing from a story. And so, yeah, just seeing things that I used to feel bad about and be like, man, people don't like me for these things and I need to change them. Or now I'm like, oh, but it's useful for these situations. If I can just recognize that I don't need to ask a bunch of questions and like fill in all the gaps in every social situation and just kind of let people like do their thing unless it's very important for like a project or like some like work related activity. Like just don't ask a bunch of questions. Don't rub people the wrong way. But if it's something that needs that, like that's a really good skill to have, and don't like shun yourself from having that. Cause I would just like punish myself for being like, why do I need to know all the questions? I need to know why everything is the way it is. Like I have to know why or else I can't sleep at night. And yeah, I think that getting diagnosed and really understanding that part of my brain just like totally helped me accept who I am as a whole person and not just accept parts of myself. I think that was really important. So I highly recommend, like, if there's just something that makes you feel crazy and like misunderstood, like see a professional and like don't stop seeking the answer. That's a lot.
I agree.
But, yeah.
I think the only thing I've actually been like 100% diagnosed with was a panic disorder. It's been a lot of, you sound like you have depression, you sound like you have this, you sound like you have that, but can't tell if it's situational or whatever, right? So I guess that did help me, because when I realized, oh, it's a panic disorder, it was easier for me to walk myself down from it when it was occurring versus me thinking I'm literally actually dying.
Yeah.
So I think that was, I would say it's been helpful in that way. But for me to not get a fully solid diagnosis of like the depression or the generalized anxiety or whatever else could be going on, if it's hypomania or some like low level bipolar or whatever it could possibly be, just based on my family history. I don't know, that hasn't really felt resolved, like, I guess. Yeah. So, and then because I feel that things have come and gone, and so it feels situational. So I think that someone could diagnose me or could have diagnosed me at one point in time, but that today I don't think it would have applied.
Interesting.
So things that I've gone through, like in my college age, certain traumas that I was dealing with right after something terrible had happened to me. I was depressed at that time. Yeah, they wanted me to go on Lexapro or some shit. I didn't. And then, like 20 years later, I'm like, I don't need that. Like that was something that I was going through at that time. And I figured out a way to deal with it, but I didn't.
Not chemical.
Yeah. So for me, but everyone thinks like, because my mom had a ton of mental illness, it's in my family, just all over the place. My cousins, like, you can kind of tell which cousins got more of it than others. But, so it's definitely in my family. And, but for me, I I don't know if it comes across as being inconsiderate when sometimes I'm like, I don't know if you really need medication for everything, or because for me, probably my situation was just that a lot of it was condition based, like this bad thing's happening and then I was able to get over it. So if I give that advice, then it could be wrong advice, whereas someone could actually just have a chemical imbalance. But I do think a little bit, though, it's possible that more people think that they have an actual chemical problem than they do. I do think there's a lot of people that just have like poor situation going on in their life right now, like you said, work stress, relationship stress, like physical stress if they have a disability or something. Like there's probably a lot of conditional things that are happening that could be changed, but a lot of people don't like for you to say that because it makes people think that you're brushing off their mental illness or whatever. But I don't think it should be that way. I think we should just be open to saying like, hey, this could potentially just be conditional, and maybe there's things that you can do outside of either focusing too much on it, medicating right over it without like really trying other things first. If you've been like for 20 years, like just down and fucked up, and like there's someone in our life that I'm like, I think you need medicine because I honestly think that you have a chemical imbalance.
I think I know who you're talking
about.
And
so I feel like I can kind of tell the difference a little bit between someone who just like really doesn't want to put in the effort to maybe change their circumstances in life and like has just kind of stayed down in the dumps and is just comfortable there, and then just brushes it off like, oh, I'm just depressed, it'll never get better. And I'm like, well, you haven't tried anything else.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will say, well, you can't with depression, you can't try anything else. And I'm like, well,
yeah,
some people have been able to push out of that and didn't need medication and got to the other side. So it's a very tightrope, which is why you need a professional assistance.
Absolutely.
Right?
Like the first good psychologist I went to, the one that like helped rewire like baby coping mechanisms that I wired in there, she actually was the one, because I was like, I think I have a chemical depression, and then she was like, okay, you might, maybe, like we won't rule it out, but let's explore everything else first. She says that like a lot of things people think are chemical because they're so deeply rooted and you've never done any work to like unroot them and like try to rewire healthy coping mechanisms in there, that you just have lived with it so long you think it's just chemical. And so we did like the deep like psychological work first, and she's like, if you still feel like you need something extra after we do all the work, like I have a good psychiatrist I can refer you to, and then they can like examine you and like recommend like whatever they think is best, but let's really try to like unpack it psychologically without drugs first. And I preferred that method. I know there's a lot of people that do have chemical depression and like that like they need it immediately or whatever, but
well, like the drug was helped them through the therapy, which then maybe they didn't need the drug later. It could go
either way. But I personally don't really like to take medication for anything. Like I don't even take Tylenol, I don't take Advil, I don't take anything for any ailment at all, because I feel like I'm very sensitive to even like drinking alcohol. I get drunk within like 2 sips. Like I'm like,
we know,
very sensitive to like toxins. And so I don't like to take things, and I do feel almost more scared or more like anxiety about it changing me to take a medicine or a substance,
to just live with it.
Or develop some other healthy way or habits or something. So I was really open to trying those things first. But that also is just me speaking anecdotally. Like I don't know if I'm on the same page as you. Like I don't know if that's just, that was what my psychologist said and it was personal for me. I found it to be true, but I don't know, because I don't know if I have the other kind. My second therapist said that I have that low level depression that's always there, and that could be true, but I don't know if what's chemical, what's not.
Yeah.
And I just think that I feel like a therapist, a good one, can give you the tools at least to help you through things when they come up. So when I do have an episode, like I have more tools now than I used to. And I kind of like understand myself better. Like, oh, this is happening because this, instead of just like, this is happening and I don't know why. And now I feel crazy.
Yeah.
That still does happen sometimes though.
Yeah. What was the last time it happened though?
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually can pinpoint, or like if I just calm down enough. I have had panic attacks still occur, but usually they're either induced by something that just happened, like so conditional, or I'm really sensitive to things happening in the world. Like, and I don't even like to watch the news or read anything about the news because I start like feeling whatever emotion that is like that's being portrayed in that article or in that piece of media, and it's really hard for me to get rid of it, like to take it off. It could affect me for like a week. Like if I like read or hear or see like shootings or people getting like violently beat, like I can't get out of that for like a week, and it really interrupts everything else in my life. So sometimes I just have a crazy panic attack. This has happened a few times, and then the next day I'll read something on Twitter or Steve will talk about something and he's like, that happened the same exact time you had a panic attack.
The Vegas shooting was the biggest one.
The Vegas shooting was the biggest one.
She definitely had a panic attack, and then
like crazy. I had to go to bed early.
Yeah. And then we found out the next day that was happening, like at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't bed early. You were just...
It was 10 p.m.
Yeah, it was 10 p.m.
Yeah. But I was just like, this is really intense. I feel this really heavy feeling. I can't get rid of it. And I don't know, maybe it's not related to it, but it does seem very linked to like worldly events. I also start feeling that way around 9/11 every year. And even if I don't realize it's 9/11.
This is why she shouldn't be able to play poker. She's a fucking X-Man. That's what I'm saying. Don't let the X-Mans play the poker, dude.
I feel you. I have been making some really good hero calls lately.
See.
Like where I used to just
What
like...
the hell's a hero call?
Okay, a hero call is when they make a bluff and they're really good at selling their story. Like it does make sense with the line that they took. Like what they're representing they have. Like if they're representing they have a straight or a flush, it does make sense to the way that they've been betting. But I've just had, like, lately, instead of just going off of their betting style and whether or not it makes sense logically, I've been really, like, trying to take a moment to pause and feel them first.
Yeah, look at their
before,
face and shit.
Yeah, folding or calling. And, like, there's been several times in the past couple tournaments, which I think has helped me get to final tables a lot more, where I made the craziest hero calls and, like, gotten their stack and they're out of the tournament. And now I have double my stack off of like something that shouldn't have been called. So yeah, I do. I don't know.
So you're a mind reader.
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be allowed.
Do you say get your neuro basic ass out of here? Neurotypical ass out of here after?
Yeah, I usually
I just smashed your neurotypical ass.
Another neurotypical down the drain.
Yeah, I usually just say sorry. Like I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it, but I don't know.
With that, sorry, we're out of time.
We are. Wow, this went fast.
Yeah, very quick.
I would like to thank Anana Jess for being here.
Anana Jess, and don't forget to check out all her links.
You don't have anything to add? I feel like you barely contributed.
I contributed.
Yeah.
He said men don't need therapy. That's what he contributed.
Guys don't need it too. We're too strong.
Look, if you're a dude, you don't fucking need it.
No, I think guys need it. I think it's good that guys talk about it. I think it's okay for guys to cry. I think it's good for guys to talk openly about their feelings. Nice. I think it's all awesome. I think I needed therapy 2 years ago. I should have got it then. Looking at myself now compared to then, I can't believe I didn't. It dragged on way too long. I wish to God I did.
Yeah.
And so,
but what was the breakthrough that you had that ended it?
It was us talking on Shit They Don't Tell You After Dark.
You had therapy. You had therapy with your wife.
I see. I see.
I remember the day. It was July 3rd. 2019, I'll never forget it because it was so surreal and visceral at the same time, and just like, oh my God, that's what I've been going through. I was able to put a name to it.
Yeah. And
then I was able to start building back from it.
So for you, it seems like as long as you have an outlet for when things come up, conditionally or whatever, like because that was your outlet, was talking about it on Shit They Don't Tell You.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
And then, like, if you hadn't had an outlet, it would still be bottled up.
I think so.
Yeah.
Being able to talk. That's why I could not advocate that more for everybody, men, women, everybody. Like, talking about how you are with your friends and stuff. Like, small ball talk shit sucks, right? Like, actually talking about how people are. I wish more people did it. That's why I love...
not a lot of people do. Though,
no,
really. And not a lot of people are smart enough to have good conversations either.
Exactly.
Like, ask the right questions.
Friends are stupid.
They need an autistic to ask the right questions.
But even like independent of Nikki, having like the JK boys, like I feel like we open up to each other all the time, and I think that that's so important to have in your friend group, and I'm so thankful for all that. Because if not for that, like it would be more just you're like a single rider on the ship, you know, and I don't want to do that. So I also really do believe too that when you're going through something really, really like tough, whatever you can do, and this sounds corny as fuck, but whatever you can do to try to make it into the best day of your life, like I think is the most productive way I've launched out of anything bad. So it's like, you know, what's something that I don't like that I do that I need to stop doing? Okay, well, today's a pretty good day to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is a good catalyst moment to just start this next series of patterns to improve myself. And I think that like going like, okay, this was a disaster. How do I turn it into the best day of my life, right? How do I look back on that day and go, if not for that day, would I have gotten here? You know what I mean? And really just embracing all of the things that you wish that you were doing and using that as an excuse, I think is fucking awesome. And I hope people know what I mean when I'm saying that. It's very clear when I say it, but
like a catalyst happens. Let's say you
Yes.
get broken up with or
Yes,
whatever
it
something that is devastating to you.
You lose your job, whatever it is.
You then take that moment and turn it into the best day of your life, and then remember that day as the day that you changed your life.
Yeah, but you gotta.
Yeah.
How is it going to be the best day of your life? What are all the things you don't like that you do? Right.
Yeah.
It's time to start flipping those. Right. Start flipping those right now. Like changing the way that you even look at your scenery around you. Changing the way that, you know, the perspectives that you have about your friends and family and loved ones. Like there's just zooming out a little bit of yourself, and like, because we all do this selfish thing, right? Where something bad happens to us and it's like, why me? And it's like, I'm very focused on how I just got fucked over by the world.
Yeah.
But if you zoom out a little bit, I wish everyone could. It's not easy to do it all. It's
Yeah.
easy to say. You can really start to take notice of all the good things, and then you can start to appreciate more of those good things and focus on those things. I think that I wish everyone could do that.
Yeah, balance is really
Absolutely.
really key for that. Like, you know, balancing like exercise and meditation and self-time and then work, and you know, having a specific process of like where it's, for me, I have to schedule it like to make sure that I keep myself balanced, because I'll just like get really into something and I won't stop if I don't have it like, hey, no, you need to stop now. You need to go on a walk.
That's
you need
exactly.
to breathe some air. You need to meditate, you know, freshen your mind. And a lot of times I fight myself. I'm like, I don't want to, though. I don't want to.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah. And then I
It's
do
like,
it and
go
I'm
to
like,
bed on time. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But you have to like tough shit yourself,
Yeah,
right?
and I do it like as if it's part of my job and I'm going to get fired if I don't go do it. And then I do it and I'm like, I'm glad I did this, because like it gives you so much more perspective. It helps you zoom out to when I walk past the lake and go sit there and like I go, wow, what a beautiful place we live in. And like it doesn't really matter if something, let's say I lost at poker that day. Well, I still get to go look at a beautiful lake, okay? So it's fucking great.
Yeah.
And like it makes you appreciate, like it helps you not focus on the things that are going wrong, and like helps you appreciate all the things that you love and are going right. And there's always something. There's always something in your present day life that can be appreciated, that you love, that maybe you used to wish you had, and now you have it. And like, it's like, hey, I need to appreciate that more, that I have that thing.
Dude, I was walking by the lake and I saw a dead duck.
Oh, I
And
saw
I was
one
like,
too the other day.
At least I'm not that fucking duck.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining us. Sure. On a Jess. I hope you don't see any dead ducks in your life, and
But if you do,
At least I'm not that duck.
at least
Isn't that
you're
sick?
not that duck.
Yeah.
Unless you're that duck, and then we're very sorry to.
oh, that sucks. Yeah. I didn't
or
do that.
you're that duck's family. We're very sorry to them as well. Also, Jess, Anana Jess is on a show called Big Mood. You should check out. It's youtube.com/Big Mood, I think that's our handle.
Nailed it.
Or listen to it on Spotify. You know, I don't know. Go if you're like, hey, we just ended this podcast. What next podcast should I listen to? Absolutely go to Big Mood. We talk about sex, relationships, a bunch of girls talking about stuff. If you're a guy listening, you can like be a fly on the wall in a girl's locker room. Do we have locker rooms? I don't care.
Girls
or
play sports.
If you're a girl, we had to take mandatory PE for sure. And I would always forget my PE uniform. And
Oh, you were that kid that the
Yeah.
yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, right.
That follows the narrative.
Well, thank you all very much for listening.
Yeah,
And
subscribe.
we'll see you on the next.
rate us on iTunes, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We love you. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, for legit. Please do that.
Please do.